Hey guys, welcome to the third video in front-end development of a blog series. In this video, we're going to be using JavaScript to populate our blog with some data like blog titles and number of comments and so forth. And we're going to style up our blog titles just a tad so it looks a little bit better. So let's dive right in by opening up our terminal and cding into our directory. And then we're going to do brackets, open up brackets, and then open up our project with gulp. Perfect. Now, as you can remember from the last video, we just wrote a couple of blog articles right here in plain HTML. I believe they're right here. So I just created one and then duplicated it. And we're going to actually use JavaScript in this video to populate populate our page with pre-written blog posts from a JSON file. Now I have a link to our JSON file right here, and of course this is going to be in the description below. As you can see, it's just a blob of text. And if you can try to read it in there, you'll have things like title, category, date, and comments. And you have these mustache curly braces encapsulating every different blog post. So we're going to copy this for now, and then we'll use this in a bit. And let's actually clean up our workspace just a tad. Go to our main.js. And as you can see, we have a ES6 running in our main JavaScript file, and we're using Babel to transpile that into ES5. So let's inspect it and check out our console. We'll see that ES6 is in ES5. And we can further check that out in our build folder. Go into our main.js, and we'll see that it's become var, or variable, and then console message. A console log the message right there. So first things first, let's load in our API. What I'm just going to do is load an API, and then since we copied the link to our JSON file, we'll paste it right here, and then we'll just console log API. Cool. So let's check that out. Cool. So we have a link right there, and that's working. Let's clean this up a bit. Const right here, and then we are actually going to go back to our index.html file, and we are going to check out where we want to put our blog posts that we generate from the API or from the JSON file, and what we need to do. So I know that we have these posts right here. I'm actually going to delete one. We don't need two of them right now. And they are in the site posts div. And it has a class of posts. We're going to use this div ID right here. And we are going to also use body right here. So what we're going to do is create two constants, or two vars. Const body is just going to be document dot get, or actually just body, and then const. Let's go back. Let's see what it's called. The header main site posts. So let's copy this. Go back here, and let's just call this posts, or post container, and then document query selector. Oops. Perfect. Now let's do console log of post container. Let's go in here. Check it out. Sweet, we have this div correctly called. Perfect. So now what we're going to do with our JSON file is we're going to use a new ES6 function or API called fetch. So what you do is simply type in fetch, and we're going to put an API. And what that's going to do is it's actually going to return a promise. And promise is a little bit confusing, and it's a new concept in ES6. But what you really need to know for using fetch is once you do this, then something's going to happen, or then you do something else, and you quite literally type in then. And then you have, this is another promise thing where you are, let's actually call this, there is an amazing JavaScript tutorial on this in Wes Boss's JavaScript 30 series, and he calls it a blob of data. And that's what I like to do it too. So we're going to do blob, and then we're going to essentially parse this. So tell it that it's JSON and then treat it as such. And then we have another promise is then, and then we're going to do an arrow function again for data. And we'll do that in a second. But the cool thing with this fetch function or API is you can actually organize it like this. You don't need to do curly brackets here or semicolons. You can just leave it blank. Then you have then and another then. And lastly, you have a catch. This is for catching any errors and then console logging these errors. Type in error. And then finally, you put the semicolon in. And this is where the majority of our work is going to be done. So we will have, let's actually put this back. Let's put this forward. So we're going to create another const, and we're going to call it posts. And that's just going to be our data from the arrow function we're creating right there. And then we are going to create another function. We're going to be using a function called create node. So let's just comment that in. That's essentially going to be a div creating function or an element creating function. So it can create things in the DOM using JavaScript. And then we are going to create a for loop. And then we're going to insert posts into post container. And that's all we'll need to do. So this for loop is going to essentially be a way to get all of these posts into our page. And later on, depending on what CMS we use to build out our theme, we're going to then also use this fetch API to press load more and then load in all of these. And we'll just show maybe the first 8 or 10 blog posts from this JSON file. But for now, let's just show all of them, and then I'll also show you how to later use a slice function to show only the top 8 posts. Okay, so let's create node, or create our create node function. That's simply the same function, create node element. And we're going to return this with document create element. And now And let's start our for loop here. So we're going to use the new for of loop that comes with ES6. So let's just do this, for then. So let's just test this out by pressing post of posts. It's calling this post, and we're just going to console log our post. And let's check that out. Ooh, what is broken? Right term. Catch error in const posts. All right, let's kill this and refresh it. Command K to clear it out, and then press gulp again to restart it. Okay, now it should be working. Post is not defined. Ah, okay, we have to actually create a const for this. That should work. Perfect. So you can see we have different components of each object in this JSON file. We have category, comments, date, and title. So for instance, we could do a post title. Run that again. We have the titles pop up, which is really cool. Now what we need to do is create a div inside JavaScript and fill that with all the data in each object from the JSON file. So what we're going to do there is we're actually going to create a post div element. So we are going to just comment this out. I'm going to create node. Div. And we'll call this const post div. Inside post div, we're actually going to give it a class name. We're also going to give an inner HTML of post goes here. And then finally, we're going to append this to our post container here. So we are going to get our post container, and then use append child and do post div. Let's see what we did there. So we're going to actually create an HTML tag in here. Go there. Copy that. And we're going to get a for loop. Okay, it's not working. I'm just going to end of for loop. We need to put this inside the end of our for loop. That should work. Perfect. Hey there every time. Now, we're not going to be using hey there, but rather we are going to be creating our entire post DOM structure in here. So we're going to use what's called ES6 template literals. So we're just going to have these two ticks. You can find them right next to the #1 sign on your keyboard. Go into our HTML file. We're going to simply copy this markup right here. And we're going to press this. Perfect. now we are actually not going to use that, but we are going to use template literals, which is the not dollar sign, but dollar sign, or not hash sign, but dollar sign, and then we can type in, we can connect it to our JSON object. So we're going to do post and then title. See what that does. As you can see, we have right away populated all these divs with their respective titles. Let's clean this up a bit. Actually, we're not going to be using HR right now. We're going to actually do that as a border in the post meta. Also do and category. Just going to go here, type in JSON, post category. And that's really all there is to pulling in data from a JSON file, something like this. And with the new WordPress API out, you can actually start using JavaScript instead of PHP to load in your data, your site data, to the actual website, instead of having to compute PHP through your server. Now, as you can see, let's open up our sketch file. As you can see, we have different colors for different categories, and we need to compute that in somehow, code that in, and that can be easily done with these template literals actually. So we can also do some conditional logic, so we can have comment, the word comment instead of comments for our post comments. So for instance, if you had one comment, it doesn't make sense to say one comments, it would say one comment. And we'll do that in a second. And we'll also put in the categories right here. For instance, we can do this will be a modifier BEM CSS class, and simply type in post category. And then we'll do the same for the post meta. Perfect. Let's check out the CSS tags in here. So we have our post div here. And we should actually remove this post div, or give it a class name of post. And then we'll remove this outer post div. But for now, let's just go in again and see what's going on. We have post category of business with a capital B, and then post meta with capital B. We need to make these lowercase, and that's actually fairly easy to do. What you simply need to do is at the end type in dot to lower case, and then to no parameters inside, to parentheses, and watch this. It's very cool. Go in here again, and you can see that it's business instead of capital B. So we'll just copy this, post this in here as well. And lastly, we need to get rid of post div, call it just post, get rid of our last div right here. And that should work much better. Perfect. Oops. doesn't seem to be working for some reason. Let's kill it and type in gulp again. Okay, I forgot the template literal string. We just need the one. Let's copy that and then type in gulp. Perfect. And now let's check out our DOM. Sweet, we have posts, and within posts we have post category business, post meta business. Perfect. And yeah, lastly in here we need to make sure that this correctly shows comments or comment. That's very easy to do as well. Now we're going to be using a logic tool inside ES6 template literals. So what we're going to do is type in another $, mustache, curly brace, post comments. And we're going to say, is this, if it's not 1, do this, otherwise do this. So we're going to, if it's not 1, to type in comments. Otherwise, type in comment. Sure that works. We have to actually give it a question. Does the post comments, is that not equal to 1? If correct, type in comments, otherwise type in comment. So we're going to enter that, get rid of this, run gulp again, and there we go. We have 0 comments, and then 1 comment, 0 comments, 4 comments, and so forth. So for every instance that has 1 comment, it's just going to say comment, which is really cool. And I'm also seeing a couple of comments where a couple of posts where there's a bunch of comments, like 86 comments. That's really cool. Then we have 2, 3, and 8 comments again. So I also want to include an icon of kind of fire or flame for every post that has 5 comments or more than 5 comments. So let's just go to icons and font awesome and type in fire. Oh, that's really cool. Let's use that. So we're just going to copy this. And we are going to put that in post comments as well. And actually, we can actually get rid of the span tag. We don't really have a use for it right now. So we'll just have one right here. Another conditioning. So post comments. Is it greater than 5 comments? So we're gonna add this string, and then if not, we're gonna do nothing. Perfect. Sweet, that's working as well. So we have 24, 86, 8 comments as flame. Awesome, that's looking really sharp. And of course now, I think it's a good idea to take care of some of the typography and add some spacing and make this this blog area look a little bit more organized. And then in the next video, we'll really dive into the CSS. But for now, let's just go to our main CSS and go back to our sketch file and see what we can do. So let's start off with mobile. Mobile's right here. Oops. H2 is 24. That would be 1.5 rems, and the line height would be 2 rems. All right. And they have a margin bottom of, well, actually, let's do that in post. Post CSS. We'll do posts, then post, and the title, do margin bottom of 1 rem. And then let's see the distance between every post is 64. That's 4 rems. And let's actually give this background just to test it of light blue. And why is this not showing up? I think this is just not connected. So let's go here. Yes. So to go into our import and type in modules slash comma. Let's type that in. And we're going to do posts, and we're going to do buttons. Perfect. Now let's actually go to our index.html file and remove this post-it that we manually created. This can be empty. Perfect. It's looking really good. Let's close this and focus on this post.scss. So we also have post meta, and in post meta we have a border top, let's say 2 pixels, and it's solid, and call this text. Just make sure we have variables. Let's before we create that, let's import some of our variables. So we have fonts, font size or sizes. We have colors, and within colors, let's do text. Let's do 3 from now, but let's see what we can do in here. We have 4A. And let's go to HSL picker. And we'll get this HSL value and type that in instead. And we can actually make this a little bit darker, so let's do 27. Perfect. Looking good. Let's make sure that works without the light blue. Okay. And in our typography, I'll actually go body, color, text. Watch it. It's actually still looking a little light, so we'll go into variables again and do 23. Much better. Cool. Okay, now that's looking good. Let's go to actually in our paragraph, let's add line height 1.5, and let's actually close that. Let's focus on our post meta for now. Looking good. So let's load these colors in. So what we're going to do here is actually go to our variables and type in category colors. We're going to do a SAS map actually. So going to do category. Then we're going to enter. So we are going to create a map for all the different colors of every category. So we'll do something like for category business, copy this, do business. Oops. Hash and the value. We'll do marketing, hash, then the value. Just do three from now. Just copy this actually and repeat it twice. We have lifestyle, and we also have creativity. Now let's go in here and let's copy this. Red for marketing. And then lifestyle is that nice green color we have. And then the business. Light blue, we already did that. Creativity is left that nice orange. And we'll take this out. Make sure this works. Yep. Cool. Now let's just test this and make sure this works. Post title. We're gonna do color. We're gonna do map get, and we're gonna do create or category. And let's do creativity. Should be the orange color we're using. Perfect. Let's get rid of this. Oops. Just perfect. And to give our posts, make sure, let's go back to the index.html real quick. We have, class of posts. Let's just give that a nice padding of 1 rem. Bottom, perfect. And now we also have to make sure that the this date goes on this side. So we have our post meta. Let's see what the markup looks like again. Post meta, and then post comment, post time. So it's going to be fairly easy. We're just going to display flex, justify content, space between, and then align content, align items. We'll just do center. Actually, no, let's do flex start. Perfect. Looking really sharp. Now let's go back to make sure with the correct spacing. 8. So half a rem. So it's a margin bottom, or not margin bottom, padding top. Actually, it would be 0.5. Looking really good. Now let's just go back to the main, and I see that in the comments right here we have the post comments. We'll just have a spacebar right there. That'll help. And then spacebar right here within there, and then spacebar right here. And then we're going to do the same for the fire. Much better. Now, I think we can also make this look much nicer. And of course, I'm going to be making changes as to this design as I'm developing it, because this is my project and I can do what I want. But if you are doing development for a client, or you're doing it for a coworker, it's a good idea to really have this as pixel perfect as possible. And if you see a design flaw or a design mistake, it's a good idea to really communicate that with them, and then see how you can improve upon it if you have the permission. But for now, I'm not liking this serif font anymore. I'm just going to use what we're using right now for the heading. Let's just go back to type. Or Helvetica new, no. And yeah, it's actually better than Helvetica is the new San Francisco font that comes with Apple devices. So we're just going to do system font CSS tricks to have a really easy to copy system font stack that you can copy. Just copy this and then paste that in here. Perfect. Looking really sharp. And we can also further do that is text rendering, CSS text rendering for optimize legibility. Copy that, put that in here, font size, and we'll also do color is text. Much better. Now, what we need to do now is make sure we can style this business to the color we want, and then style this this border for the color that we want, depending on the category it is. And then we need to style these. So let's actually start by styling the text a little bit more. In our variables, we're actually going to create some variables for our font sizes. Base, we'll do 16 pixels. And then font size small, do calc of 16 pixels times 0.875. All right, and here we're going to do font size space color text. Looking really good. And then let's go to our posts. Post meta, we'll just do font size small. Much better. For let's go back to our JavaScript. It's going to be post time and post comment. In case you don't know what I'm doing, I'm using a BEM CSS syntax, and we're doing since we're using Sass, we can do nested declarations inside each identifier right here. So, for instance, we're doing post title. So this, instead of typing in post underscore title and a separate outside of these curly brackets, we can just keep them nested in here, keep it nice and organized. So in here, actually, we're going to do text transform uppercase, and we're going to do letter spacing 0.1 em. And actually, let's go back to not typography, but variables, and create an even smaller size, call it extra small, and do 75. Go in here, do it. Perfect. And let's go back here. Instead of an H4, I think it'd be a better idea to just call it P class. Perfect. For the category. It's looking much nicer already. And then let's the margin bottom of 0.25 rems. Much nicer. This is really good. And finally, we are going to create a for loop essentially inside Sass to make sure we can automatically get the color for our categories. So we are going to create a bit of a for loop in here, and we'll just do this outside of here just in case. So we're going to do for each category, we're going to do essentially we're going to do a for loop for the different variables in this map. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it'd be quite easy to just have for different CSS declarations. For instance, we can do post. We could have done easily something like this, where it's post meta, and then inside here we'll do business, do something for there, and then lifestyle, do something from there, and so on and so forth. But it's gonna be better for you guys to learn how to do this the proper way. So first you can kind of do this for your job correctly, and then secondly, if we had like 30 categories, it'd be quite a pain to do that. So we're going to create this for loop. We're going to do for each category or cat, we're going to do the value in category. We're just going to do, let's say post category, and cat, to color of value. How awesome is that? So marketing got red, lifestyle got green, we got business for blue. Very cool. And we're gonna do the same. We can do multiple declarations in here. So post meta $, curly braces, cat, do border top, 2 pixels, solid, and then value. Again, very cool. Now I'm not a huge fan of these colors I picked a year ago, so I'm actually going to have a copy to another SAS map, and I'm just going to replace that with this. As you can see, the color is a bit different, so just replace that real quick, and you'll see that marketing's purple now, creativity is lighter orange, a lifestyle is nicer green, and I'm liking this a lot better. And yeah, so we are done for this video. We successfully imported this JSON file and told it what to do in JavaScript, so it'll populate a bunch of posts for us inside our DOM. Yeah, it's a really cool feeling to be able to do this and learn JavaScript and really use it for things outside of like hello world kind of stuff, and really use it to build projects you care about. And I'm really happy with this. So what we're going to do in the next video is really go over our systematic CSS, meaning we're going to create different variables for a CSS file and use them in the rest of the CSS files, create our typography system, make sure that the grid works. We're not going to use CSS grid, we're just going to use Flexbox, but we're going to make sure that it really starts to look like our design here. And then after that, we're going to go in and start making sure that it's really ready to be imported and made into a theme for whatever CMS you want to use. But yeah, next video, expect to be able to do fun stuff with CSS. We're going to be kind of essentially recreating this, and then I'm going to teach you how to make this work. And of course, the filter stuff will be depending on the CMS, but I'll show you how to make this clickable so this appears. It'll be really fun. So yeah, having said that, I will see you in the next video. Thanks.